And that's the thing, like you got to recognize when you got to call it out and recognize it if your dogma's gotten in the way of the truth. And I like the place I'm in right now because it's so ancestrally kind of compatible. You know, it doesn't feel nichey and fatty. It doesn't involve a crap load of synthetics. If anything, my dispensary is like a fourth of the size that it used to be, which I'm happy about because less is more, right? And the more things we can get people doing on their own accord without breaking their budget, the better, right? And so, yeah, I mean, I still use magnesium's an example, vitamin E is an example of something that I'll still use in a synthetic form. I'm not like a purist, like everything has to be, food based or natural based. But as far as vitamin C goes, whole food C is where it's at for me now, and the patients and the results I'm getting are great. And that ties into the copper and iron dynamic, which we can get into. And, really, really big on the retinol from the dietary perspective, but also supplementing with different organ-based supplements and getting it into in the diet form. So like frozen liver, kidney, etc. If you can get your hands on good sources. And and just education, the education's the biggest part of it, and trying to get away from these industry pushed cocktails, which in the end only accelerate the amount of tissue bound iron, push oxidative stress, lower copper, undermine ceruloplasmin production. And if anyone is super interested in this stuff, I may have plugged it before, but the book Cure Your Fatigue by Morley Robbins, excellent book to really understand this stuff in great detail.
Well, let's jump in and just giving everyone another little heads up of that, to be multidimensional and remember that you can sit in a multitude of dimensions and spaces within your own life when you're approaching this conversation. And remember, like, kind of what Dan and I discuss and sitting majority of the time has been in that place where your lifestyle, your personal culture has been designed to keep you within that space of harmony. Then, I'd say probably one beneath that is that, maybe the Chinese or, wisdom tradition, like energies of food. And you can start utilizing, like the seasons and being like, right, that is a hot energy coming into that food, and I'll cool that off as I go into this season, so on and so forth. And then, but there's a lot of shit going on, and there's a lot of disruption of our instincts and a lot of disruption of our own capacity to remember and know what harmony is. We're cultivating that sensitivity. So sometimes when you come out of that and you go into a specialization, maybe clinical setting where you get some panels and tests done, someone like Dan, what I can see you doing, Dan, is you're constantly trying to upgrade what you see the linchpins being. If I test these things, I know that I'm going to get results and see where there is an imbalance, and there's like a linchpin that's going to put a cascade of healing and harmony back in through the rest of the body. So maybe we use some specialized supplementation there. And then we get people back into that space of maybe slight reductionism of energy, and then back to where your lifestyle as it stands keeps you in harmony. And every now and then you come back and you chat, you get your back, checked, like you have someone looking after you and, just having your back. So with that, this is kind of like, I feel like we're in an exciting new place where we're learning and getting an upgrade of what those linchpins are clinically that we can test. And we also implore everyone not to use it as a stage to, to get your dogmatic identity upgraded. Just, use it for you and your family.
Yeah, 100%. And like I'll still use a lot of functional testing in practice, no doubt. I'll probably use slightly less of it the further I get into what I do. But the functional testing is really good. Like you say, if you get someone who is really, really deep into the chronic illness, trajectory, that's where I think it's really beneficial to run, the organic acids and look at the microbiome and blood panels and those sort of things. And, you get someone who come in who's relatively well, and I still might do blood panels on them and just look at things like iron and copper and zinc and ceruloplasmin and vitamin D. And vitamin D is a whole other topic, which I'm sure we'll touch on. But I think it might even sound a little bit boring, but it's just kind of like the importance of that foundational lifestyle stuff. It just can't, I just don't think people do enough of it. We look to the supplements, we look to the more superficial stuff to get the job done. But it's like, until you learn to go to bed at 9:30 instead of 11:30, this isn't going to change. You know, you can do antiparasitics to the world ends or whatever. You can take this to the cows come home or whatever it is. You know what I mean? But like, it's just undoing a lot of lifestyle patterns a lot of the time.
I guess that's what we especially saw. I came out of that LA-based longevity scene. It was
right.
Raw foodism or a lot of supplementation. And when I got inside of that, I wouldn't know if it's a cult, but anyway, once I got on the inner circle of that, I just saw that these were not sustainable lifestyles, and also a lot of psychological trauma, I imagine, came from childhood, was being steamrolled over and turned into an identity in order to go forward within this little world, rather than dealt with and coming back to the simplicity and coming back to the basics. And therefore, everyone was constantly reaching outside of themselves to what's the newest fandangle practice, or the Tibetan rites, and like this special marine mineral thing, and the best colostrum, and blah blah blah. Versus it was just like, guys, you are living unsustainably, reaching outside of yourself.
Yeah, I bet you wish you could go back and go, guys, drink your raw milk, get enough sleep, take your organs, and just leave it there.